How did I get here? How did I get here? Not here as in like the apartment that I'm in, or downtown, or St. Louis, or anything like that. Like where I am as a person. I mean, it's been a long road. Just like, a lot of people find themselves soon in life, like early in life. They know who they are, they know what they want, they know what they want to do. And then there's some people that never find themselves at all and kind of coast and meander through life, existing, not even surviving, but existing. And then there are people that thought they knew everything. At least everything they needed, to find out everything is nothing. And there is no spoon. That's me, I think. I'm looking down at my cat, Mr. Rumford. I think he's 16, 15 or 16. Something like that. I got him when he was 6. And we've been together about 9 or 10 years. And he's been across the country with me. And back. On to. I won't pick him up. He doesn't really like that. But anyway, where I grew up, I was accepted and I was welcome. I had a couple different circles. I infiltrated easily. Not infiltrated, but I fit in to any group that I was interested in, the people that I was interested in. It's NA, by the way. Yes, buddy. Are you hungry? Anyway, but my family loved me and my friends, you have your true blues friends and, ride or dies. But then you have your other ones that are, it's like life, maybe not such deep friends, acquaintances, and then there's some that are surface friends, and then some that don't really like you. But I was so maybe trusting and I'll say naive that sometimes, well, it's got a notification that I shouldn't say that about myself. Sometimes there are people that don't treat you very well because I know now, don't like themselves very well. So anybody that they see that's, pure of heart or confident or knows what they want, or maybe even just kind of floating through life figuring it out, but maybe they see them as something that they aren't or can't be, and they treat you a certain way. And that's followed me, probably, maybe follows anybody, but it's followed me through my life. I appreciate it now because I know, so to speak, my superpowers. I know that I'm an educator, I'm a deep thinker. I don't really talk a whole lot about myself to other people. Maybe I do, I don't know, maybe I'm talking about music or whatever. But like really what's ticking, I don't really talk about that kind of stuff. Certain people, certain few. I think that I let that kind of stuff out either when I'm driving or when I'm playing music. And for as long as I remember, music was the one thing that nobody had to force me to do or ask me if I was interested in it, because I was already doing it. And whether I picked up lessons or picked up something on my own or had somebody show me how whatever worked, pick up selector, naturals, flats and sharps, shuffle beats, you know, they'd show me these things and I'd pick them up. And I think I've done pretty well with that stuff. I feel like music, when I'm performing and I'm on stage, that's probably the most natural me. So I never think twice about, you know, a move that I'm doing, you know, the way I'm moving or even getting on stage. I don't think I've ever been really afraid to do it. If I was a little nervous, right, but I turn that off, or it goes off, I guess, once I strike the first note, or sing the first phrase or whatever. I guess all that to say, I'm a musician. It's the thing I know best. I teach. I guess I show how much I love it by doing it and putting my best effort into it. And I don't know, man. I feel good doing it. So I do it. What I do tends to be rock music or odd sounds, or I switch instruments once in a while. Now I'm playing bass for a band. But no matter what I do, it's 100%. And I try to make it, I'm sorry. I try to make it a little different every time, so you have to see it each time, because you never know what's coming. I don't know, maybe it's just lack of attention. I think I do pretty well with it, though. I first heard music in the first apartment that I remember, the first place I lived, Indianapolis, Indiana. I lived with my parents, and I was 3, maybe 4, and I heard this voice. Not in my head or anything like that, but Dad was playing music on the stereo, but there was something different about this guy's voice, and I noticed it. And I really wish I were able to ask him, you know, as I was an adult or even now, like, do you remember this moment and what did you think? What did it make you think? But I remember hearing the sound of his voice, and it just wasn't like any other singing voice that I'd ever heard. And I said, Dad, who is this? That guy's voice is weird. And he said, oh, that's the Doobie Brothers. And the singer is Michael McDonald. If you know Michael McDonald's voice, it is one of the most distinctive voices in modern music. But I noticed it. And I remember, that's the last I remember. And then I think I remember him playing some other things too, and I asked him about that, and he said, that's Earth, Wind, and Fire. And there were horns in that band. And Philip Bailey had this high falsetto voice. And it was intriguing, all of it was. And those are the two bands that I really remember Dad really listening to. Back in time, forward in time, rock and roll. Actually, it wasn't even rock and roll, it was pop music. Magic 108 was the thing. It's what I heard every day, and it was stuck in my brain. You know, It Never Rains in Southern California, you know, whatever top 5 hit Whitney Houston had at the time. But one night, visiting, I eventually moved to Illinois, but visiting my grandmother in Indianapolis again, not the same house, but close. She had this giant TV, and it was in the living room, and we'd all watched Batman. Michael Keaton, Kim Basinger, Jack Nicholson. And everybody went to bed, and I slept on the couch because that was the only space that was unoccupied, which was fine. There was a cool cat there. His name was Oscar. Late at night, I had the TV on, and I was flipping through the channels, had the volume on maybe 1, something like that. I was flipping through the channels, and there was MTV, and I was intrigued. And what was happening was I heard those soft pads. Pet Shop Boys, West End Girls. And I was like, oh, whoa, that's different. Right. I was off. And I was hooked. From that point on, it was pop music into rock music. Excuse me. That moment, I don't know what day it was. I don't exactly remember how old I was. I don't remember if it was Christmas or Thanksgiving. Maybe it was Thanksgiving. That sounds about right. But my life was changed. It changed again a few years later. Cult of Personality by Living Colour. Seeing that on MTV, that band, those people on that stage, in that music video, wearing those clothes at that time, swinging that hair, changed my life yet again. I don't think I was more enthused about a thing than that moment. Seeing Vernon Reid on guitar, Corey Glover singing his ass off, Will Calhoun playing drums. I was a drummer at the time, so I knew who that was. And Muzz Skillings, their first bass player. That was a pivotal moment for me. And that representation was so it I'm not sure I understood what it meant at the time, what I was seeing. But what I was seeing was riveting, and I couldn't let it go. And I vowed pretty much then and there that I was going to learn everything I could about that band, or about playing rock music, or that instrument, guitar, drums. Like I said, I was already a drummer at the time. And I learned the album. I learned every stroke on the drum set. And I switched to guitar. That was a slow process. Over the next couple of years after that, I really got into it. But man, seeing that band on MTV just gave me a sense of relief that, all right, it's supposed to happen for me. I'm not the weird one that they keep saying that I am. Why are you playing that white boy stuff? I didn't know anything about Chuck Berry, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Little Richard. I'd probably heard Tutti Frutti, but I didn't know who sang it. But getting to see what could be me on that television channel, which I still have yet to, have a music video on MTV, which is fine. Here I am in documentary film. Took a minute, but I'll take this. I can't remember the first time I heard it. I can't remember the first time someone said it. But I know how it felt every single time. There was a band that came out in the late 90s, and they had a song that was gigantic. I was not a fan of it, really, because I think I was into heavier, more edgy stuff. My favorite bands at the time were Alice in Chains and Megadeth and, anything metal or heavy, or I think I was starting to get into bands like King Crimson, prog stuff. Alan Holdsworth, he became my favorite guitar player. Let me know if you know who those people are, too. But every time I heard Hold My Hand, after the phenomenon of, Hootie and the Blowfish, and I wore a baseball cap at the time, every time I strapped on my guitar, stepped anywhere near a stage, Hootie! And I don't know if it was my friends. I don't know if it was a stranger. It was a combination of both. People I'd worked with, over the years. And I don't know, man. Just the association. I think people need to be able to connect something, connect a dot, connect their brain to what's familiar to them, or the only reference they may have. So Darius Rucker, baseball cap, black man, guitar, Hootie. Darius Rucker, fought that for years. Might still fight it a little bit, He's gone interview after interview. I am not Hootie. Hootie and the name Blowfish were based on two different people, friends from college. One guy had glasses, round rims, and they called him Hootie, like an owl or something like that. And then the Blowfish, I'm not sure what the reference was for him. I mean, he could have played trumpet, you know, and Dizzy Gillespie was his favorite. But man, every time somebody yelled that out, it was just, I didn't know how to react to those kinds of things. And, you know, you don't want to get into a fight because you don't know who this person is. And you don't know if these people that you're around or that you're with are going to back you up, you know. And I don't like fighting. It hurts. I've been in fights before, but not many. And it's kind of, whatever it is. So you just deflect, laugh it off, bury it deep inside, and move forward. I think I moved forward. I'm blacker than I think I've ever been. And that started, I guess, in 2008. And all the way through, up until now. You know, the world's not going to let me forget I'm black. No matter where I go. You know, those are energies that we carry with us, or, you know, do we call that in when we think that way? Or is it just true that some people can't let you live? Recognize that I'm a black man, black person. You know, and leave it at that. You know, I don't have to be like, oh, you're pretty good for a black guy. Where'd you learn rock and roll? Like, where do you... Yes, that's happened. People have asked that before. I just know that I love me, and there are a lot of people that love me. Grateful for that. It took a long while. I guess I still get tongue-tied about it. To realize that, to believe it. That I love me and that people love me. There are a lot of people that I love, that I give direct love to. Some really great friends, supportive friends, caring. Everybody should have that. Everybody should have that. Show people, you know, what it means to feel loved.